All right, guys, we're talking about the 3 major things to do after you have a timber operation. All right, guys, we see it all across the country. We have, a timber operation come through, a timber harvest, and you get sunlight to the forest floor, and we think, all right, we did it. We've got growth. We've got greenery coming up. Wonderful. We're done here. Let's move on to the other projects. But that can't be farther from the truth. We're going to talk about 3 things that have to follow up each timber harvest, or considerations for each timber harvest, because we're not done. This is work evolving. And number 1 is we have to go back and do follow-up timber management and TSI. Generally speaking, you're taking higher value, higher quality trees when you're doing a timber harvest. And so there's a lot of trees, the weed trees, the mid-story trees, that we don't want to occupy and take the sunlight that is now given to them because more overstory trees have been harvested. That's the general case for most harvests, but when you have a lot or a higher concentration of mid-story trees, it could be sweet gum, it could be beech, it could be cedar, it could be a whole host of different trees. We need to go in and treat those so they don't take that sunlight and take that overstory canopy and be that next generation. We have to do the follow-up TSI. That usually is done year 1 to 2 post-logging operation, and highly encourage that. Number 2 is invasive species management. We've got to come in and treat the invasive species. It can be done easy to do it prior to, but also if you do it prior to, your mop-up or your cleanups have to occur again after a harvest. And if you're delaying the invasive species till after the harvest, you've got to go in and do it immediately after. There's ways to do this through foliar treatments, as well as basal treatments, depending on your invasive species that's present. Here we've got a dense concentration of multiflora rose. Before it's leafed out, we can do a basal treatment on the stems, but after it's leafed out, throughout the growing season, or early in the growing season for multiflora rose, we can treat with the foliar application and just target that individual species without having really any overspray issues or concerns. I generally like to do about 2% solution of Garlon 3A or triclopyr-based herbicide to target the multiflora rose. Very effective. Use a surfactant 1/2 ounce per gallon in your mixture, and that way the herbicide is making contact, staying on that, and it's not a ground active herbicide. Triclopyr is a contact herbicide, and whatever you apply it to vegetation that's growing, it will kill. That is a woody or a vine vegetation. So it's going to be very effective against multiflora rose at this stage. A third main consideration is prescribed fire, right? We use prescribed fire to consume leaf litter, to consume the understory regeneration on a multi-year basis, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-year rotations, just depending on your climate, your growing season, what you want in that understory post-timber harvest. But if you're giving that forest sunlight and to spur on new understory growth, you've got to maintain that growth to keep it within the right heights, structure, and forage value for deer, right? We've got to keep it within reach. So prescribed fire is kind of that great equalizer, and it resets that vegetation and allows it to regrow year after year after year. We cannot forget about the 3 main steps. We've got to continue to manage the forest, the trees that are in there, remove those weeds, manage any noxious invasive weeds that are present, and then the natives that are coming back, we're using prescribed fire to manage those. So those are the 3 main things we have to do after timber operations. Don't forget them, put them in your brain, and make sure you're planning and doing your maintenance on the forest after you've done your logging operations.